The late leader of the New Democratic Party of Canada, the Hon Jack Layton, signed Petition 44 in 2007 to investigate predatory lending practices behind sovereign debt in this Capitalism Without Capital series. This chapter reviews Canadian case law loans the RCMP cites as potentially criminal. Petition 44 concerns the 2009 ABCP Crisis in Canada government report I discussed with the Honourable James Flaherty about such loans as mine being difficult to get trial in the Canadian justice system.
We are taking an important first step toward a new regulatory regime. Think about what has been happening in the world and to take a Canadian approach.
Flaherty doesn't want to say whether he expects that approach to include a court fight.
My name is Tony Crawford, and in 2009 I paid the Bank of Montreal $80,000 after a 10-year marathon lawsuit to collect an alleged debt in my name by summary judgment for an undisclosed, unsigned loan behind what I believe is a scam geared to defraud Canadian taxpayers by design. In 1999, BMO wrote I owed money associated with an allied Canadian tax shelter scheme. And in 2002 the bank filed a lawsuit to collect. In 2003 I offered BMO $50,000 to settle that without question I would never have known what the bank had done and where my credit went. Indeed, I made several offers to settle over the years as BMO off-site loans closings became clear from court documents that my signature was attached to a so-called sitting duck loan which BMO was entitled to issue and sue to collect. For the sake of $30,000, BMO's lawsuit involved at least 17 lawyers. 2 acted for the bank, 1 for the investment promoter, 1 for the sales rep, and 2 for the accountants. In 2003, my 4th lawyer filed a counterclaim to the bank's claim that resulted in the promoter being noted in default to defend by my 3rd lawyer, who filed it in an out-of-jurisdiction court that remained unknown until it turned up after statutes of limitations in 2010. In 2006, the RCMP reviewed the case and cited potentially fraudulent loans the police should investigate. As evidence came to light, my 7th lawyer filed a claim alleging fraud served on lawyers who filed cross-claims between BMO and the promoter as its agent, and my accountant as the sales rep, and between accountants still not made known to me until 2011 in the endgame of an ever-expanding lawsuit. The case was an opportunity for a JAD, Joint Application Design Business Analysis, to study a bank lending technology that while lawyers examined me, I could learn and translate legal perspectives into system design specifications shown here. It required a court order to examine BMO that was too stressful for my lawyer who quit, and I had to interview the bank's witness on my own.
Well, so I have to take tomorrow. So what are you telling me?
I'm not talking. Do your exam tomorrow. You cannot do your exam tomorrow. I really don't care at this point.
You really don't care?
No, I really don't care.
And you're telling me that I have no choice?
I don't care what you do.
Yeah, okay, well, Rob, I don't know.
You don't know either, Tony.
It's been...
You're honest for about a year. You know, you don't appreciate the thing I do.
I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it.
Then about this weekend, Tony, how do you think I felt having to do all those damn emails ruining my weekend?
Well, I know. I looked at the emails and I thought you must have been awfully stressed.
You're damn right I'm awfully stressed.
The examination of the bank's witness in 2008 discovered the second of 2 commingled notes in one account. My lawyer would not challenge BMO denying the coexistence of 89 and 90 notes, and he quit. The bank refused a free walkaway offer for all parties to end all lawsuits, and the judge refused handwriting analysis of the commingled note BMO continued to assert they were not litigating. In 2008, a judge refused to hear my motion to dismiss the bank's claim, and the court ordered me to produce a factum and appear in court without a lawyer to defend the bank's motion for summary judgment. My lawyer who quit came back to seemingly help BMO in a bizarre courtroom appearance. The court transcript reads the judge told him he need not robe to argue the merits of replacing my factum for defense and counterclaim with his own brief factum for defense handed to the bench to use in court. the judge quoted from as surrogate factum, finding no credible evidence for trial. And in 2009, 3 appeal court judges ruled in agreement I could not have not known I had a BMO loan that was properly documented for debt without trial. It must have been difficult for judges to rule for trial, as none of my lawyers challenged absurd denials by BMO. There was no second note in a counterclaim or a claim served on BMO that when asked they told the court they were not litigating. It seems lawyers decided loans in my name that are only potentially criminal should never go to trial, and to that end BMO will not clear paid writs on the first note unless me and my wife abandon the counterclaim and the claim alleging fraud behind the second, which BMO denied litigating while collecting the first. In 2010, BMO seized our home, and my 9th lawyer set up a deal for BMO and its agent and our accountant to be relieved of our lawsuits.
You're harassing me, and I really can't stand it. My health is so shocked and so traumatized by all of this, and then your letter telling me that you were going to seize my house to change the terms of agreement that is just beyond the pale.
There's a misunderstanding. That's not what we want to do. We just want to conclude.
But it's in writing. You put it in writing.
I know for sure that we would like to be done with it.
Yeah, okay, it's just a money issue. Mr. Siegel, I have to try to calm down on this because you are so threatening to me and my family.
Well, have I threatened you with this phone call?
Well,
no, I haven't, and I don't intend to, really, sir.
Well, like I say, I've had 10 years of you, and I know I have a letter here which says that you're going to sell my house.
The letter says, quite frankly, that the whole thing will be over and resolved if we just take care of this issue. My client doesn't have the money, and they need it to close this off.
In the agreement is the acceptance of money for clearing writs, and I expect that to be done.
And you don't want a release from Bank of Montreal for this?
I don't want any release. I don't want anything more to do with the Bank of Montreal.
Let's do what I told you, that I'm in agreement with your lawyer.
Now, Mr. Siegel, you keep on going round over an issue that I don't understand. I fail to understand anything in all of this 10 years litigation. I don't understand it. It is just too incredible and beyond belief that the Bank of Montreal can write notes and then collect them. And that all evidence that I bring to the courts is simply thrown out. I just don't understand it.
Okay, I'm going to talk to the bank and see what has to be done, and I'll advise the bank that you're no longer willing to sign a release, and we'll see where it takes us. We'd like to get this done and figure out how to do that, so I will get back to you and let you know.
Are you telling me that when you figure out how to do that, you're referring to how you will make me sign a release?
No.
Okay, fine, and that's... All right, and that's we understand it.
Yeah, but I don't think I can make you sign it. But I know that one has been agreed to by your lawyer. However, if there's anything I can do to get this resolved, I will, okay? I'll get back to you on that.
All right.
You need anything else from me, or is that okay?
I certainly don't need anything else from you, Mr. Siegel.
Okay, thank you.
In 2011, we signed what lawyers need to end their legal nightmare. The releases clearly state defendants to the counterclaim and claim must sign consent that BMO must prove it has cleared paid writs on the first note for judges to discontinue lawsuits about the second, never allowed in court.
We might as well have nobody sign this except lawyers. The only people who actually sign it, who are genuine people, is me and Jill.
They're the ones that have to sign the release.
You told me that a judge would sign on my behalf.
The judge would never sign on your behalf. They would just make an order that's equivalent to you signing.
And how is that?
There is no defense. They would basically say that the actions are dismissed.
The NDP has read Petition 44 to close tax loopholes for consumer safeguards and taxpayer protection described in the following first and second wave sovereign debt business model as a case study for banking reforms. In a Ponzi scheme, the mortgages are resold with rent encumbrances as investments that subscribers guarantee as ABCP makers that depend on bank accreditation for pre-executed loans that require notarized witness of signatures to open bank accounts that perform like mortgages to claim tax credits. This structural deficit business model illustrates tied loans and mortgages through the ABCP financial conduit geared for sovereign debt in first and second wave mortgage and credit derivatives, hedged for profit in the bottom line. ABCP holders collect rent consigned to pay mortgage interest in the connecting dots for investors to claim off-the-balance sheet mortgage charges as personal expenses for income tax credits paid through taxation systems. CDS makers promise to pay tied loans and concealed mortgages in the complex workings of SIV structured investment vehicles that can't be sold or defraud without them.
Welcome to Business Daily. Complex financial products could spark another crisis.
We don't think that we're scaremongering. I can't begin to imagine how your average retail investor could understand the risks involved.
According to finance professor Richard Portis of the London Business School, CDSs didn't stay simple for long.
People discovered that they could buy these CDS contracts and trade in these CDS contracts without holding the underlying securities. That made them into a purely speculative instrument.
Buying a CDS without owning an underlying bond is known as buying naked. And to Professor Portis, naked credit default swaps make no financial sense.
I would not be allowed to take out insurance on your life because we might be walking along the street the next day and I see a bus coming and somehow I slip and you get pushed and you're right in front of that bus, and isn't it sad? And I collect.
But wouldn't that be illegal to do that?
It's not illegal, it's not regarded as market manipulation, and it happens all the time.
The vast volumes of trading in CDSs between countless banks, hedge funds and speculators means that if there was a default, what's known in the jargon as a credit event, it'd be hard to be sure who'd have to pick up the bill.
ABCP mortgage credit events trigger banks to collect investment loans from people fondly hit as sitting ducks for namesake loans. These are identified by bank agents and ABCP holders who notarize paid witness of signatures for undisclosed, unsigned, pre-executed personal equity loans that closed sales. Who pays the bill for second-wave structural deficits? Is it first-wave debtors to bank loans behind storybook sleazy tax shelter schemes, sold to subscribers who unwittingly sign non-bank notes as makers of naked CDS traded as money in financial markets? Or is it holders who collect rent to pay mortgages also paid in credits from tax revenue, plus mortgage principal paid by investors losing property to mortgage holders, with taxpayers also paying first-wave mortgages in default, as well as burdened with second-wave structural deficits supported by ever-increasing taxes and austerity cutbacks? I have written dozens of letters to scores of Canadian government agencies about the ABCP scam, and my novel experience with CDS debt is in Contagion, my latest volume about wacky bankers that aren't good with rules unless we make them. My storybook experience includes campaigning for a reverse onus rule I discussed with the Minister of Finance, James Flaherty, on my way to the White House to promote as a G20 rule in banking reforms. The Canadian Government ABCP Crisis in Canada report and NDP Petition 44 is focused on regulating SIV credit default swaps in the first wave, sold to unwary tax savers such as me signing ABCP as fake money into financial markets. European parliamentary debate concerns prohibiting second-wave naked CDS bought by speculators who hedge such as my stolen credit for profit.
In March this year, a committee of the European Parliament proposed severely restricting the use of naked CDSs, an initiative led by French MEP Pascal Canfin.
There are negotiations underway, and if things go well, then we could have a formal ban of naked CDS throughout Europe.
The analysis shows correlation between SIV, ABCP and CDS that creates sovereign debt in structural deficit economies. In Canada, the reason to regulate naked CDS is $32 billion that would be better spent on services instead of tax increases and government cutbacks. As well as tax reconciliation questions already asked in parts 1 and 2 of my Capitalism Without Capital research review, I would like authorities to answer a question about human rights and freedoms. Did Canadian Bank of Montreal violate the principles of natural justice given my wife has been forced to concede her rights against BMO in the choice of being deprived of either property rights or plaintiff rights alleging fraud and stolen identity by BMO and its agent and her accountant because of a judgment issued in favour of the bank against me, to which she was not even a party. Please add your signature to Petition 44 for consumer and taxpayer protection.